Mike Moore Media, the first place to hear Rockingham County news and information.
This program is sponsored by Carpino Investments. On our media line, Jeff Garska, Economic Development Director for the City of Reidsville. Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Hello, Mike. I'm good, Mike. Hope you are.
I'm doing well, thanks. The topic today, small business, and small businesses make the world go round, don't they?
They do. You know, it's kind of an old adage that, small businesses are really sort of the heart and soul of your community. Collectively, they create far more jobs than all of our industries combined. I mean, you look at even, sole proprietors, those add up. And, a lot of times, I used to get a lot of calls, throughout my whole career with people with small and even medium-sized businesses. And, they're asking about what kind of incentives and what kind of programs. And, it's so much of it is it's just not geared towards that. Tax incentives and, things that companies get because they create a lot of jobs. So, we're trying to get creative and figure out ways we can meaningfully help some of these small businesses working with the Chamber and other partners.
Sure. I did a little homework here, Jeff. 99.9% of all businesses are small business. That is amazing.
That's unbelievable, isn't it? And I know that's an SBA number they came up with. That it's a kind of a federal standard, but so it's less than 500 employees is what they consider small business. But for them to be that many, and most small businesses are just a couple people. They're not 499 in a lot of cases. So You're right. I mean, and that tells you everything you need to know.
Yep. And, it's so encouraging when we have so many small businesses in Reidsville and really countywide that are opening just in the last year, even during that crazy year. But so many small businesses have opened. Isn't that exciting? It
has been. And, people are taking, to start a business on a good day it's so risky.
Yeah.
There's a reason I don't own my own business. I'm too scared. So you see how many fail and how many struggle, and I think that's just, you have to have an appetite for that and a strong will. But you're right. I mean, we had a number of downtown businesses open either last year or so far this year, but we're in the process of, getting their ducks in a row throughout the pandemic year, and we just couldn't be more excited about the continued growth. And of course with our industries growing as well, but the small business sector continuing to, kind of push through. And, early on, and you and I talked about this many months ago, but, last March when things started to really shut down, we were a one-stop shop resource for folks looking, how do I get these SBA loans? What's the payroll protection program? I don't know anything about it, but I want to explore it. And we were just sending information out. Call this person, here's the resource. And I think what we learned was we can do those kind of things when stuff turns around. It's not just in an emergency. And I think we learned a lot of lessons that building that trust and relationship with our small business community, we're able to do that, and we want to continue to do more of it.
Definitely, and really learned a lot of things outside of the box in the last year as well. Give us some tips, Jeff, how to start a new business, specifically in Reidsville.
That's a great question, and it's timely. We are getting ready to publish kind of a small business resource guide in partnership with the Chamber, and they've got some educational videos to go along with it. But it's really just a little 4-page, fold out. Talks about, who do you contact first, where do you start, and really what we're trying to drive home is, either call the Chamber, and a lot of times they refer it to us just because of the different departments we have, or vice versa. Or if we get direct calls, it's just call us first. And then, there's a reason that we collectively have relationships with State Commerce Department, with our federal officials and, other local people, the Duke Energy. I mean, we have these relationships over time, and we want the small business to know that the reason we build these relationships is so that we can help you better. So call us and we can introduce you to anybody you need. We may not all have the answer ourselves, but that's why we have friends. So we just want people to start with us, because then they're going to get into zoning compliance permits, building inspections, and they don't know a lot of that. If you've never owned a business before, you don't know what to do. So you have to register your business with the Secretary of State and get a federal tax ID number, all those kind of things. And so if they just call us, we can help them. But advice to a small business, I think it's sometimes a little cliche, but really creating a plan. What exactly are you trying to accomplish? What's it going to cost you to run the business for the first 6 months, 2 years, whatever? How much revenue do you realistically anticipate you can generate, and how do you balance those and stay afloat, especially early on? So we've got some tips in our brochure. We've got some tips on marketing. We've got a 2 or 3 page guide on kind of how to think through writing a business plan. And we've got resources at the community college and at SCORE, which is a nationwide program of entrepreneurial tutoring, and that's housed at the chamber. And that's 2 great free resources that you say, okay, I have a business idea, help me through writing a business plan, or here's my business plan, what do you think? And people don't know those are, again, they don't know these resources exist, and they're very underutilized for that reason.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Well, when I started my business about 3 years ago, the plan was on the drawing board for years, but it was finally time to launch it. I got some really good help from economic development, from SCORE, members of all 3 chambers of commerce here in the county. Those are great resources. I know that firsthand.
Yeah, the folks that do this stuff, they're experts in their field, just like all of us are, and that's what they do. I can give people some basic tips, but, again, I'm not an entrepreneur. I've never been through the battle. So, somebody who has that peer-to-peer sort of mentoring, that's a different level of rapport with a peer than it is with the economic development guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting. I talked to someone just in the last week, a small business owner, and she said, I'm doing okay, but I never really knew there was so much involved. And she realized then that already in business, the door is open, that she had not perhaps prepared properly. And a lot of people maybe don't have just a business plan like they should, do they, it seems?
No, they just go into business.
Yeah.
Really, and that's scary. It worries me because I want them to thrive. And when I see folks sometimes start a business without a good plan, some survive. That's just how they operate. But I can't overstate it. You have to have something that preferably written, because you can look back at it. It's a living document. You might get a little off your tracks and say, I need to revisit my business plan and see what I said my focus was going to be, instead of getting off track. And so it can be a resource that you yourself go back to and continue to go through that mentoring process. But it's the chamber has had just one ribbon cutting after another over the last couple of months, and we had one the other day at a dog groomer out on Harrison Street, and we probably had 50 people out there supporting these folks. They took over the ownership of the place from someone who retired from it, and they're just going to make a go of it. And with 3 or 4 elected officials and our city manager and all city staff and all these community ambassadors were there, and that's the kind of vibe we want to give out. Because you're in Reidsville, that's the type of atmosphere we have. But you mentioned, you had your idea planned for years. Lucky City Brewing is a great local example. And Eric Smith kind of came up with the idea. He'd been planning it for 10 years. He had this idea. He did all this research, all these calling other co-op breweries and just learning what it would take, and then wrote a business plan, and then sort of, kind of went from there. But, sometimes it's a lifetime vision that you finally say, okay, I'm ready to do it.
And, it's okay to change that business plan, too. I talked to someone yesterday who has been working on opening a business for 3 years. COVID hit. there were some family matters there, some health issues with a parent, and things got changed along the way. That's okay.
Yeah, it exactly. You like I said, your business plan is really a living, fluid document. Even after you've opened your business, it's not just you don't create it, then you open the doors, and then you shred it. It's supposed to evolve because markets change and environments change, and your product line probably evolves with how your customers want things. And so you're right. It's you have to rely on the vision that you created, but be able to adapt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I want to go back to the Chamber a minute because Diane and the team at the Reidsville Chamber of Commerce, I'm always, they've got that wow factor there. I'm always wowed by all the things that they're doing and how involved they are. And you're right, those ribbon cuttings never end with the Reidsville Chamber.
No, it never gets old, and with people being able to be outside and gather, I mean, it's a really feel-good thing, and they're all broadcast live on Facebook, and
yeah.
We get a lot of feedback from folks who can't attend, but they might watch it or watch it later. But the Chamber has been a super partner for the city for a long time, but certainly since I've been here, since I can attest to it. And Diane's a great community leader, well-respected, well-liked, very smart individual, and works really, really hard.
Yeah.
It never stops, and she's got a good staff. They have a good story to tell. They've got well over 400 members for a small town. That is a lot.
Great.
And it keeps growing. But you have to give people a reason to join the Chamber. You have to prove that you can be helpful, and they do a great job at that. It's probably one of the best groups I've worked with in Chamber world. But the board is strong. They have an ambassador program with folks who may not be on the board, but they kind of represent the Chamber at the ribbon cuttings and things, and introduce to people. And it's a great system. And we partner with them on our downtown events, and they handle the beverage garden. And it's just I can't say enough about it.
Yeah, and that Chamber has been around for a long, long time too. And you look at the history of that.
Yeah.
We got about a
and what
minute.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
What I was going to mention, what I like about this structure is we don't overlap a whole lot. Mm-hmm. I've been doing this a long time, and sometimes the Chamber wants to also be the economic development agency, and if you don't overlap, it's a much more effective partnership.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everybody with their role and working together, the teamwork there. I've got about maybe about a minute left, almost, Jeff, to wrap things up.
Okay. So again, if you are thinking about starting a business, or you have a business and you want some help, thinking about moving it somewhere else in the city, just give us a call. My direct number, I know, Mike, you always ask, is 336-347-2307. Of course, again, you can call the Chamber. This is an initiative in partnership with our downtown corporation. So, it's citywide, but we obviously are downtown, a focus, and where a lot of those small businesses want to be. Mm-hmm. So just call us. We are here to help, and if I can't answer your question, I'll put you in touch with somebody who can within minutes. So we try to be really responsive.
Well, thank you for your networking and your partnerships statewide and regionally and all of that for making it happen. Jeff, always appreciate our conversation. Thanks.
Yeah, and I appreciate the exposure on your program, Mike. It's always good.
Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay, thanks.
Jeff Garska is Economic Development Director for the city of Reidsville, doing exciting things there for sure. Our program is sponsored by Carpino Investments, leader of community redevelopment in the Carolina Piedmont region. Get more information at carpinoinvestments.com. And get more information about some of the things Jeff is sharing with us today at rocketinreidsville.com. And remember, shop local. Support our local small businesses.